Hey guys, hello and welcome to Mind Map, where learning is made easy. Today we are back with an important topic, which is green GDP. It concerns environmentally accountable economics. Let us start. So let's begin with what it is and how it is calculated. Green GDP is basically your normal GDP after adjusting for environmental damage. To put it in a formula, it is traditional GDP minus natural capital consumption and costs. Now, what does natural capital include? It includes geology, soils, air, water, and all living organisms. Now, let's look at the components of this natural capital consumption and costs. First component is the expenditures on environmental protection. For example, the costs incurred or the money spent on implementing environmental protection measures. For example, water filtration plants, air filtration plants, pollution reduction devices in factories, and so on and so forth. Any taxes levied by the government or a levied by the government for environmental protection, all that falls under a part of this. The second component is environmental degradation or losses or gains in ecosystem service flows. Now, what is an ecosystem service flow? It is all the goods or materials that we have used from a particular resource. For example, a forest, the timber used is no longer available. We will have to afforest again, and then that timber will again be available. But when it is cut down, the other losses that accrue indirectly are loss in the fertility of soil, loss due to the degradation in the quality of air because of deforestation, and all these other losses. The final component is in the reduction in natural capital stocks. For example, due to deforestation, the rain in a particular area is badly affected, and the water resources are affected by that in turn. So the water stock in a particular place goes down, a lake might dry up or something like that. This is the reduction in the natural capital stock. Also, the forest which is being cut down or used. How we can put a figure or a number to all these calculations? Let's look at an example. In 2004, the environmental pollution cost China $64 billion approximately, or close to 3% of its GDP. While there are some environmentalists which peg this number at almost 10% of its GDP, but 3% is what an official report claimed. So that is, and this is in 2004. So just look at the impact of environmental pollution that we do not account for in traditional GDP calculation. Now, what is the rationale behind this? The concept of green GDP is centered around the concept of sustainable development, which is achieving a balance of these three factors, that is economy, environment, and community. Now, the first thing about traditional GDP is that there are inherent limitations which GDP has as an indicator of economic performance and social progress. It only assesses the output, but it does not account for permanent or significant depletion or replenishment of assets that underlie the output. So the input factor is not accounted for. Cannot tell whether the development is sustainable or not environmentally. So this is very important. For example, in a country which has a large forest area, there are a large number of intangible benefits which accrue in terms of air quality, water quality, which are not traditionally counted in the GDP. A monetary value is assigned to those forests, and when they are cut down, only that monetary value of that particular forest in terms of its timber and its economic value is calculated. But what about the value of the fertility of soil or the quality of water and air in that area due to that forest? Once the entire forest is cut down, the development in that country is not going to be environmentally sustainable. So that is a huge limitation of traditional GDP. There are also practical difficulties around measuring and pricing these environmental resources. Green GDP is a more accurate indicator on the other hand, or it is a complete measure of societal well-being. It would also improve countries' abilities to manage their economies and resources. So that is why green GDP is a better measure according to a lot of economists than your traditional GDP. What is the process of calculation? A physical accounting of resources is done in terms of what are the resources that we have. Then a monetary value is assigned to them. And then this value is integrated with the national income or the traditional GDP measures or figures. India goes the green GDP way. India has always been a pioneer when it comes to being environmentally conscious. On 4th of June, just a day prior to the World Environment Day, the government decided to start measuring green GDP of states, and a pilot is going to start in September in 54 selected districts. It is going to be a 5-year exercise to compute district level data of the country's environmental wealth. This will eventually be used to calculate every state's green GDP. It will help in policy decisions such as compensation to be paid during land acquisition, calculation of funds required for climate mitigation, etc. The government is also starting a green skilling program for youth, especially school dropouts, to be trained in a range of so-called green jobs, for example, as operators of scientific instruments used to measure environmental quality, as field staff in nature parks, as tourist guides, etc. So as we see that green GDP is a very good way of looking at development and not just measuring it in terms of monetary value, but also its environmental impact. Alright guys, that's it from our side on this topic. I hope we have learned something new through this video today. Thanks a lot for watching, and make sure that you like, share and subscribe to our channel Mindmap, and we will make sure to upload such informative and high quality videos on current topics of interest. Goodbye and good luck.